Okay, folks, today we have the legendary wholesale diva, Jay Gaines, in the building. Hey, Jay Gaines is a motivational speaker, author, licensed nurse, and a very successful businesswoman. She goes by the name of the Wholesale Diva. And myself, Armond Wright, and Glen Davis is going to be interviewing the Wholesale Diva. We just going to kind of go back and forth, asking her a few questions, and you guys just prepare yourself to be entertained, educated, and entertained.
And entertained.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell
me a little bit about, you were involved in the martial arts school. Can you tell me a little bit about the martial arts school and how did you get involved? You know, you don't see too many females involved in martial arts schools. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, for those of you that don't know, I grew up in the projects of Chicago. So I didn't grow up with that prissy, silver spoon in the mouth life. I grew up with a rugged life where I had to fight every day, literally, going to school or going to the incinerator. For those of you who don't know about the projects, the way a project is built, the incinerator is in the middle of the hallway. So you have to walk. We lived in the end apartment. You have to walk to the middle to put the garbage down the incinerator. And every day I would have to get in fights. So I said that when I became an adult, I was going to learn martial arts. And I had the opportunity when I was, I think, about 13 or 14, before I went to juvie for 4.5 years. There was a guy in our neighborhood that taught martial arts. So he taught me some techniques in jujitsu and karate. And so I kind of became a badass, literally, for lack of a better term, in the hood. Once I got married to my third husband, he was a black belt in martial arts.
Oh, wow.
And so literally one day I was walking down the street and I saw this storefront for rent. So I went in and negotiated with the landlord to give me 6 months rent with no pay for 6 months if I would fix the place up. Nice. And he did that. I got a contract with him. That was my first experience wholesaling. I did a contract and everything with him. And I opened a martial arts school. My husband didn't know anything about it. I surprised him with it. And we ran that school for 6.5 years. And during the course of that, I rented out space to different martial arts instructors. And in exchange for a portion of their rent, they had to teach me whatever it was that their technique was. So I learned Taekwondo, I learned Jiu-Jitsu, I learned Tai Chi, I learned Aikido. I learned a lot of the major arts and got brown and black belts in some of them, as far as training. And that's how I got involved in martial arts and opening a school.
That's awesome. That's really amazing. And I like the creative financing. That's what I, like to do, the lease houses, land contract. Yeah. And that's awesome.
Who knew I would be involved in real estate back then? I just negotiated a deal because I didn't have any money. Yeah.
Just remind me not to cross you in the dark alley.
You don't cross me in a lit alley.
It says here also that you were the owner of a modeling agency. So tell us a little bit about that.
So there was an ad in the paper in Chicago. Someone placed an ad and said they were looking for an executive director of a modeling agency. Now, I had been a professional runway model for about 4 or 5 years. I didn't know anything about business. And back then you didn't have the internet, but you had a library. So I went to the library and went and read up on how to run a modeling agency. Went down for the interview and perpetrated like I knew what I was doing. Went down with a big black hat and a designer suit, gloves. Back then, ladies wore gloves, gloves. And they carried a clutch purse. I had on my nice business suit and everything. And I convinced them that I could run their agency for them. So these guys were from St. Louis. They put like $30,000 in a bank account with my name on it, gave me offices and everything. And I ran a modeling agency for 4 years in Chicago.
How did you recruit models?
So what I did was the same thing. I took part of the budget and I put an ad in the paper. Now, here's what I did. Back then, Barbizon, the schools, Barbizon and Casablanca, you guys know about them, modeling schools for kids. They were famous at that time. So what I did was I went to one of the Barbizons and acted like that I wanted to join. And watched the whole structure of their program and went back and executed that program. I hired about 5 instructors. We charged $1,300 for a year-long program, and the instructors had to teach the classes, the modeling, the makeup, the hairstyling. I negotiated deals with stores for them to come in and do clothes and all that, and I set up bookings for the fashion shows. So I'm a hustler.
Awesome. You know, when I think about modeling, when most people think about modeling, they think about those, you know, them nice, petite, skinny girls, you know. But, you know, some of us guys, you know, like some of us guys like the women with a little meat on their bone, you know. So tell us a little bit about that.
That's funny. That's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah, full-figured Chicago and California pageant where you know, full-figured.
During the time that I had the opportunity to run this modeling agency, I said to myself, here's an opportunity to try things if you've always wanted to start. So at the time, a lot of people don't know this, but I was a member of the Muslim organization, and I got hooked on bean pies and milk. I'm just gonna tell it like it is. I went from a size 7 to 385 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Bean pies and milk.
Bean pies? Oh man.
I know the bean pies, but what about the milk? I didn't realize Muslims
blew me up.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Muslims were big on milk.
I still like my milk with my bean pies. I wouldn't eat nothing else. I was busy. We were busy all day running from job to job, taking models here, doing photo shoots and all that. And I would just grab some bean pie and a carton of milk. And so before I knew it, I had gained all this weight. And so back then, the industry was not open at all to anyone that was plus size. Even the size I am now, which is a 14, people weren't open and receptive to that. So when I hit a size 16, I said, you know what? I'm gonna make a division of the company, plus size models. Wasn't heard of back then. So when I started, it blew up and went through the roof. These women were willing to pay $2,000, $3,000, and $4,000 to come get modeling training.
Wow.
So that division exploded. That whole division of the company exploded. And we were doing fashion shows. My alma mater, Chicago State University, we went back there and did fashion shows for them as fundraisers. We did a lot of fashion shows for homeless shelters. Nice. I actually just put the plus size on the map. So I said, well, okay, we're doing good with the plus size modeling. Why don't I start a pageant? So in 1992, I produced the first Miss Full Figured Chicago beauty pageant. And then I took the idea to San Diego. I took the idea to New York, and I took it to, I think it was Mississippi or Tennessee. I don't remember which one. And then I did Miss Wheelchair USA pageant.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm just a hustler, baby.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I say a female diva is a female version of a male hustler.
Female hustler. Female, it has to be a male version. It's a female hustler. That's what's up.
I had $30,000 to work with, and baby, I turned it into probably $200,000 or $300,000 for the modeling agency.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You were a nurse. You still a nurse? You still a licensed nurse?
I'm on call now.
Okay.
For a disaster. I'm a disaster relief nurse.
Okay.
I got my license in 1990 as a licensed nurse in Chicago. I was new into a marriage, had 2 small babies. My kids were like 1 and 2 when I graduated nursing school. And I enjoyed nursing for a while, but it kind of I'm the type of person, once I master something, I got to move on to something new.
Right.
You know, once I mastered it, I worked ER, I worked nursing home, I did floor nurse. Once I mastered it, I was ready to move on to something else. So I did it for a while, but I like disaster relief and ER. If I had to go back into nursing, those are 2 things I would do, disaster relief and ER.
Well, it's disaster relief right now.
Yeah. Hold on.
COVID-19.
Look. I stay ready, Freddie. You see this? I'm always ready.
Oh, okay. Got it. So it also says that you executive produced Black Expo for 4 years.
So you guys remember when Jesse Jackson ran for president?
Yes.
Right.
So at the time he had an organization within his church called Operation Breadbasket. You guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember
it. Yeah.
Operation Breadbasket had a woman's division to it. When he went off to run for president, of course, the church followers were going to go with him to help him on the campaign trail. So myself and a business partner, a female I had connected up with who was kind of business minded. Now, remember, we're young girls at the time. We didn't know a lot about business. We knew hustling. We approached them and asked them, could we do Black Expo? Because at the time they were doing it, no disrespect, but it was just a big swap meet. I'm just going to be honest and call a spade a spade. And so we wanted to add some class to it. The first year we did it, we brought in Phyllis Hyman, Evelyn Champagne King, and Michael Jordan. And all this is documented.
Oh, wow.
And what are the guys? Bootsy Collins? Bootsy Collins. And then on Sunday, we did a gospel choir competition. So we ran it for 3 days at McCormick Place in Chicago. We probably generated 40, 50 grand from it. And we got sponsors and everything. Now, I didn't understand the word sponsor, but at the time I got dressed, put on a business suit, took a briefcase that didn't have nothing in it, and went and talked with these sponsors and got them to put up the money for the limo, the hotel, the cost for Phyllis Hyman and Evelyn Champagne and Bootsy Collins and Michael Jordan. We got Michael Jordan for $2 grand. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
But yeah, we produced it for 3 years. And then when he came off the campaign trail, we didn't know about LLCs, DBAs, and all that. We were just two young girls that were hustlers. We knew how to do stuff. So
and who was that? A partner of yours?
The girl. Yeah, she was just somebody I met that I sat down at like a conference and we got to talking, and she wanted to, we formed a partnership together on paper. Her and I did do an agreement, but we didn't understand how if Black Expo wasn't registered to anybody or no one owned the name, we should have bought the name or LLC. We didn't know all that stuff then. We just knew how to put events together.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we did it for 3 years. And then when he came back off the campaign trail, they took it back from us. And then a family bought it now. If you don't know, it's owned by a family who franchised it out to all 50 states.
Oh, wow.
So I could have made a fortune, you know, had I known about business. You don't know what you don't know. You know?
Right on.
And then tell us about your the bus tours that you did, California.
So I was married to a gentleman who was in the Navy in San Diego, and we were living right by the base down at 32nd Street before they closed the base down.
That's husband number 3 still, or?
That was husband number 6.
Oh,
You got to be joking.
No, do I look like I'm joking?
Wow. Okay.
So I saw an ad in the paper one day where a girl said bus tours to Tijuana, $50, includes cocktails, buffet, and spend the whole day and come relax with us in Tijuana. So I said, okay. I took $50 and I paid the $50, and we boarded a bus at Walmart. I'll never forget. It was one bus load, 72 people on this bus. And they sold us bottled water on the way down. Our first stop was like a hometown buffet right before you cross the border to Tijuana. And everybody ate, and she paid for everybody. And nosy me, I watched how instead of $15 a person, she only paid $8 a person, okay? That was number one. Number two, the second stop was at 3 bars in Tijuana. And when we got to the bars, if you've ever been to Tijuana, that's right outside San Diego, all the bars are outside, like on the beach, like you in Florida. And we went horseback riding, you know, they were selling stuff on the beach. People had booths and stuff set up. So I clocked that. We bought our own cocktails there. So she didn't invest no money there. So far, out of $50, all she's invested is $8 in whatever the bus costs. Follow me on this. So the next stop we go to is Puerto Vallarta. We get to Puerto Vallarta, and for $10, we got a whole tray, like a lunchroom tray full of lobster, fresh lobster, all you could eat. When you ate one tray full, you went and got another until we got full. And Puerto Vallarta is like a little village where it's got a lot of stores with cobblestone streets. So we went shopping and bought sombreros and different stuff like that. Then we boarded the bus and we came back to San Diego. So I said, wait a minute, how much money do I need for both my kids to go to college? I sat down and calculated. I didn't consult the husband because he wasn't business minded. I sat down and calculated how much both my baby children at the time needed to go to college. And I said, okay, boo. So I called together 2 of my girlfriends who were also military wives. And I said, look, I will pay you guys $75 each. I need you all to board the buses. I went and rented headsets for them so we all could communicate. I put my 2 girls on each bus. They had to fill up a bus. That's how they got their $75 and their free trip to Tijuana. These were my employees, right?
Okay.
Then I put my kids on 2 buses, my son and my daughter. And then I was on the 5th bus. So we pulled out of Walmart with 5 busloads of people, 72 people on each bus, and I charged $65. it cost me $7 per person for the bus ride. And I made everybody on the bus tip $1. So that tipped the bus driver. So each bus driver got a $72 tip. I was able to pay my staff. I negotiated with the hometown buffet. I also negotiated with the bars that we went to where everybody got discount drinks.
Right.
And I negotiated with the horseback riding people, all the stuff that girl didn't do. So everything we got was at a discount. In Puerto Vallarta, instead of paying $10 for the tray of lobster, I got the trays for everybody reduced to $8. So we made a profit margin. We did that for 3 years. During that time, they were having hair shows also in Las Vegas. So I contacted the guy who was hosting the hair shows in Las Vegas and said, if I bring a busload of people to Vegas for your hair show, what kind of commission can I make on that? Mm-hmm. And him and I worked out a deal. And it was at the Circus Hotel, so I called it Circus. Now, remember, I already had a relationship with bus companies, taking trips to Tijuana. And by the way, we did every weekend. I called Circus and cut a deal with them. I said, I want a suite for me and my 2 children. I want 2 separate suites for my staff. And we're bringing 5 busloads down to Las Vegas for the hair show. So I made money off the hair show, and Circus kicked me back a check. And I got free rooms, and I'm still on that honorary VIP list.
Wow. So what kind of marketing did you do in order? Yeah, awesome. What kind of marketing did you do in order to fill up the buses?
Right.
So my ad said, go to Tijuana for free. Just invite 5 friends. So you went free, Armond, if you invited 5 friends. Glen went if he invited 5 friends. And if you wanted your wives to go, you invited 5 more people. Yeah. I put it on a affiliate marketing. Of course, I didn't know these terms back then, but right. Think about it. I was doing affiliate marketing.
I love it. Yeah. That's
what kind of return did you get for those investments?
Generally, out of $65, my profit would usually be around almost $45 to $50. And wait a minute, I forgot to tell you, I had a Costco Club card. So back then, cell phones, all people had was like Nextel and them little shitty phones, remember?
Yeah.
I went to Costco and I would buy the big old packs of cameras. You remember the big old packs of instant cameras?
Yeah.
We would sell those for $10 and we would sell bottled water because I would tell people, you don't want to drink the water in Tijuana. So you need to buy bottles of water from us. So we would bring a bucket of ice on the bus and my kids would sell bottles of water. And then I owned a gift basket company, so we would raffle off a gift basket and the raffle tickets were $2. Damn. So I would usually walk with $45 or $50 per person.
That's
straight up hustle.
Yeah.
I'm a hustler, babe. You don't know me. That's why I'm saying, like, people can't figure out ways to make money. I'm talking about before the virus. You can't figure out, you're looking for a job. Why can't you use your talents and your skills? Y'all know I wrote a book called 15 Ways to Make an Extra $5 grand a month. And these are some of the ways that I was pulling in that kind of money. Remember, I was a housewife.
Right.
Some of the time. Some of the time I was single.
So radio personality for KKVI?
Yes, that was one of the radio stations.
Okay.
So I've always been outspoken. Can't you tell?
Right.
Just so shy.
We would never have guests.
So shy. So there was a gentleman that had a radio station, and he was newly had bought, I guess, the air rights or whatever you call it. I don't understand all the technicalities, but he owned the air rights. And so he needed somebody to do sales and marketing for his radio show. So at that time, I didn't want to jump right into doing radio. I wanted to get my feet wet in sales because I know I can do sales. I can sell anything to anybody. If they're sellable or if I can negotiate a deal with them, I can sell them something. So what I did was I went to strip malls. So let's just say there's a mall, Armond, and it's got a Ross, it's got a CVS, it's got maybe what are the people that cut your hair clips, whatever they call it.
Sports clips.
Yeah, sports clips. A mall like that. I would go to a mall that had not A-level stores, but maybe B and C-level stores. I wouldn't go to the low-end malls. I would go to each store owner and say, look, we're going to set up a stage in the middle of the, of course, I'll get permission from the owner of the mall. We're going to set up a stage in the middle of the parking lot next Saturday from 12 to 4. The radio station is going to set up a booth. We're going to broadcast live. It'll only cost you $75 to $100. You have to give us a raffle prize, and you can get all this traffic, drive all this traffic to your business. So I was doing that at least 4 malls a week all around the city.
Wow.
The other thing was whenever somebody had a big event coming up, and now we're into the internet age, and I went online and found out about it, I would contact them and say, the radio station would love to come in and broadcast live. It'll only cost you XYZ. So it'd be enough to pay me, my DJ guy that I carried with me. They gave me a wrap van, a wrap truck, you know, with the radio station and everything on it. And sometimes we would even go in limos. So I was like famous for a while. Forget the radio, being on the radio. I love doing the promotions.
That's what's up.
Yeah. And they, by the way, they sponsored a couple of my events.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
I guess that's leading up to the Wholesale Diva. You know, I always refer to you as the Wholesale Diva. I guess I probably should refer to you as Jay Ganes because you're so much more than just a wholesale person as far as real estate.
So much more than the Wholesale Diva.
Yeah.
I got
so
a whole life
Diva,
outside that.
How did you come up with the name, the Wholesale Diva?
Actually didn't come up with the name. My students did.
Oh, your students came up.
Miss Gaines, you are a diva. Because we would go out, you know, to events and stuff, and I would wear these big old hats and long fur coats and, you know, designer clothes, and always have the dramatic makeup and all that. And they say, you're a diva and you wholesale deals, so you should be the Wholesale Diva. And I said, oh, okay. They kind of just threw it in my lap, and, you know, I ran with it.
That's awesome.
I never call myself a diva, but people say I act like a diva. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome.
And you were the recipient of the Immigrant Housing Placement in Texas.
Yes. The Immigrant Entrepreneurs Association, which is ran by Ann Babadis. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She's an attorney from Nigeria. Her and her husband, they're really wealthy real estate owners in Dallas, Texas. And they give an award ceremony every year where they give out awards to prestigious Africans or African Americans that have achieved and accomplished above and beyond. And so I don't even remember what year it was. I think it was 2016. I was nominated because I had placed so many Hispanic families into houses on owner finance or wholesale deals. And I received the award now, honorary letter from the governor, from the mayor's office. It was a beautiful dinner with cocktails and everything. I mean, just really nice, over the top.
Nice, nice.
And you said that was in 2016?
I think it was 2016. Don't quote me. I have to get the brochure and look at it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And recipient of the Department of Justice grant for 3 years in California?
So I was teaching modeling for Barbizon in California, and a gentleman who met me from the Park District at a business, like you all's meetup. It was kind of like one of those, they didn't call it meetup back then, but it was a meeting like that. And he said, I put together a fashion show, a luncheon fashion show for a organization that was having a business meeting, and I produced the luncheon fashion show. So he approached me afterwards and he said, I work for the Park District. The Department of Justice has got like $80,000 available for a 3-year grant for anyone that will teach kids, you know, when they're out of school for the 8 weeks, that will teach kids, you know, self-esteem, etiquette, things like that. And I said, well, I've never did anything like that big or did, you know, anything with that kind of money. I don't even know how to apply for the grant. He said, just put me a curriculum together and I'll do the grant for you. So believe it or not, and I still got it in my portfolio, I did a one-page document with a curriculum where, here was the catch. I had to set the program up where it was in 10 parts simultaneously. Now, mind you, I had never did anything that big except Black Expo. But that was a controlled environment. This was something where I would be responsible for going to 10 locations every Saturday, checking to make sure instructors that I hired and screened. So I had to set up an operation, basically.
Wow.
So I put a one-page curriculum together because I had did cotillions before. So the curriculum was self-esteem, etiquette, public speaking, wardrobing, things that make a young girl girly, because the kids that they wanted me to take control over for the 8 weeks while they were out of school were low-income kids. It had to be a program for low-income girls whose parents were strung out on drugs, who were into prostitution. It was focused on that. That's why it was controlled by the Department of Justice. So I had to come up with a name for the program. I had to hire 10 instructors, well, actually 40 instructors, I'm sorry, because it was 4 different classes: etiquette, self-esteem, dance, all that. And at the end of the 8 weeks, I had to do a recital at the biggest location of the 10, document it, video it and all that, and send all that to the Department of Justice so I could get the grant next year. And long story short, for 3 years straight, I ran the Weed and Seed program. It was called the Weed and Seed program. And I sat down with the parents and had a come to Jesus meeting. I said, look, for one day in your life, no drugs, no drinking, no getting high, no nothing. You're gonna help run the graduation ceremony. So I made the parents, you know, help set up the booths. I made them help decorate the room. The kids did dance, they did poetry, they did spoken word, they did talent. We had a fashion show, all the stuff they had learned. And each instructor had to put together a segment, you know, from each part for the graduation ceremony. And it was called the Weed and Seed program.
Huh. Hey,
and I still never applied for the grant. I didn't know how. I mean, I never really learned that stuff. People just, I've been blessed for people to come into my life that have been support systems for me, you know, to help me get stuff like that done.
So, you know, right now with all this COVID-19 going on, and with your array of, you know, money-making skills, what would you recommend, you know, say someone's out there that was with this kind of rings close to me, because I know when I was in the working world, we have people come in, maybe temporary employees, and they haven't been there long enough in order to qualify for unemployment. So they just kind of out there, you know? So what would you recommend, you know, someone that's out there, you know, how could they help, you know, generate some money during this time of need?
The first thing that I would recommend is for a person is seriously, we're confined to our homes right now. So this is a time for, in retrospect, to sit down and really figure out, what do you know how to do? I would say take a pen and pad, get you a 3-ring binder, get some scratch paper, whatever you got at home, and sit down literally, and on the left side of the paper, write down everything you've ever done that could possibly generate some revenue. And on the right side, realistically, can you do this from home? Is this something that when the virus lets up, that you can start on now? And by the time the virus lets up, like for example, I'm planning a big fashion show for October, November, December. Hopefully we'll be out of this crisis by then, because that's breast cancer, you know, going into breast cancer month. If not, then I'll have to do something online. But I think that people should figure out, one of the things I talked about in my book is, everybody has 15 skills inside them. You've just never activated them. You only know, go to school, get an education, get a good job, retire, and get a gold watch, which they don't even give those anymore.
Gold watch.
So that's all people know.
Right, right.
And you know, they're always looking for that next job just over broke.
Right.
You know, that's what it means, right? I think that people are extremely skilled and extremely talented, and they're not using their talents or their skills. So sit down literally on a pen and paper and figure out what you're talented at. I mean, I remember working with a client one time in St. Louis, I believe it was. It might have been St. Louis or Kansas City. This lady was really, really good at baking pies and frying chicken. She didn't know how to monetize it though. Right. She couldn't figure out how to monetize fried chicken and pies. And I worked with her for, I think, about 3 or 4 months. We put together a huge expo where she had a fried chicken contest and a pie contest. So now she's got 45 or 50 vendors that bought booths, and she had judges come in and judge who had the best fried chicken or the best pie. It wasn't about her anymore. It was about monetizing what you're good at. And now she produces that every year. And it's a money-making revenue. When I met her, she was giving away chicken and pies at church. I'm like, really? Puffy? Where they do that at?
Right, right. That's what's up.
So I think a person should figure out what skills they have first. That's step one.
Mm-hmm.
Step two, figure out how you can monetize those skills. And I'm not talking about selling stuff out of the back of your trunk of your car. I ain't talking about that. We did that way back in the day.
Right.
We don't do that no more.
Right.
We done moved on up.
Right.
On up. So that would be my suggestion.
Okay,
Yes.
and it
Awesome.
says, I guess it's supposed to be executive magazine consultant.
Right. So whenever a new magazine comes out, they always need an event coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Because part of marketing a magazine, when you own a magazine, is hosting events. And a lot of new magazines coming out don't have an event planner. So I hired myself, gave myself a title. I mean, I knew how to do events, remember? So I hired myself out, and every month, whoever was going to be on the cover of that magazine, that was the theme for that month. And we would get sponsors to supply the location, the food, the theme, the decorations, and everything. And I charged a fee as a consultant to do that for magazines.
Mm.
Nice. See, I guess you ready for, we got one little exciting segment here called the lightning round.
Yeah.
You ready for the lightning round?
I'm always ready, Freddie.
Okay.
Babe.
All right, well, we're going to go right into it then.
I'm ready.
So we're going to say, we call this the lightning round, folks. So we're going to say a word, and then she's going to say the first thing that comes to her mind. I say a word, and then Glenn say a word. We keep going back and forth. And
Don't be shocked.
we keep going back and forth. And
Don't be shocked, America.
Yes. All right, I'm going to take the lead. Let's see, real estate.
Money.
Okay. So mine
Supposed to be lightning round.
Mine would be marriage.
Never.
After 6?
Never.
After 6, you're gonna say never.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Trump.
I'm getting to politics now.
I'll reserve on that one.
Yeah,
Okay, we got a first pass.
Let's stay away from politics.
What'd you say, Glenn?
Let's stay away from politics.
All right.
I would say, well, I have a question. I don't know if it's the lightning round, but you said something
you can do
about
questions during the lightning round. Yeah.
You produced over 3,000, or is that 300 fashion shows and
3,000.
3,000?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of produced fashion shows and pageants.
35 years.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, got it.
And plus you have people
You forgot I'm almost 70, right?
Yeah, you got people that work with you too, so
Right.
you count those as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how about that? Because it may be somebody that's that passion, that fashion show. That's very interesting. I guess we can kind of step away from the lightning round again, and come back. But
whatever you guys want to do, I'm good.
On the passion shows, like say for example, it might be a young lady out there that might be wanting to get involved with that, because I think that's a pretty good operation you got set up there across the country.
Exactly. So what is your question?
The question is, could you say if it was a young lady, or I guess a young guy, that wanted to get involved in a passion show, can you kind of describe how it works and how could they get involved with it?
You're talking about as a producer or as a model?
As a producer.
As a producer. I would say that the first thing, just like a movie, if you want to make a movie and you want to be the executive producer, you got to wear 2 caps. You got to wear a director's cap, basically. You can hire a director, but initially you need the director's cap because you got to know where you're going. What's the vision?
Mm-hmm.
So they need to know what's the vision, and they need to run the budget. So you sit down basically and you say, okay, I need a venue. I'm going to need models. I'm going to need hairstyles. I'm going to need makeup artists. You make a detailed list of every single thing that you could think of, like Murphy's Law, whatever can go wrong will. Right. Every single thing that you need to produce a fashion show. And is it for a charity? Is it just for profit? Because most fashion shows are attached to a charity. Mm. So how much you're going to donate to that charity, how much help and support are you going to receive from that charity to produce the event. All these things come into play when you're talking about producing a fashion show. And either it's going to be with designers. I like the business model of Miss Johnson with Ebony Fashion Fair. You guys should be old enough to remember Ebony Fashion Fair models.
Yeah.
They had a good business model. They would take the models out on the road for 9 months straight. They would go to city after city with the designer, with the DJ, with the MC, with the clothes, the makeup artist, the hairstylist. It was a whole traveling fashion show. That's a good business model. That's one way to do it. Another way is to do it sporadically and hire yourself out as an event planner or event coordinator for nonprofits to do fundraising fashion shows for them. So I would say that the person needs to have a business mind and a good eye for color, coordination, music, things like that.
Okay.
But you can make a lot of good revenue producing fashion shows.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna hop back in that lightning round. Glenn, you had another question?
Kwanzaa.
So I was living in San Diego with husband number 3, right? No, 6, husband number 6.
Very good. What happened to 4 and 5? Damn.
They were involved with some of those other projects.
Oh man.
So there, the way, I don't know if all cities do this, but in San Diego, like your auditorium, whatever, what do you guys call your convention center?
Mm-hmm.
They let each ethnic group pay $1 a year, $1 a year to use their facility once a year to produce an ethnic event. There was an organization that was producing Kwanzaa Fest. You guys familiar with Kwanzaa?
Right.
Okay. They were doing a shitty job.
Oh.
The convention center was at their boiling point where they were ready to kick the whole organization out. The head of the organization, which was a nonprofit, this gentleman found out about me and he reached out to me. I went and sat in on a board meeting with him and his board of directors. They were at this big old long table. I think it was 12 of them doing the Jesus and 12 Disciples thing. You know, Jesus was the first CEO, right? Have you guys read the book, Jesus Christ CEO?
Yeah, I got it at the house. I read it.
Booyah! There you go. Yeah. He had the first board of directors. So this guy invited me to a meeting and I'm sitting there. First of all, his mama, his aunt, his cousin Pookie, Pookie's friend, Pookie's baby mama. This is all his board of directors. Mistake number 1. Never put your whole family and in-laws and stuff on your board of directors. So I asked a few questions to find out why the business had failed for the last 3 years. One of the basis of criteria to maintain just paying $1 to do your event at the convention center every year is that it makes a profit. You know, they don't want you to use the building and you don't make a profit. You're supposed to donate 10% of your profit back to the convention center. They were having nothing to give back because they were taking a loss every year. So I looked at a couple of videos of the last 2 years of the events they had gave. And I said, okay, give me 24 hours and I'll get back to you all. I called the director, the guy that was the head of the nonprofit, and told him he had to fire everybody. I wasn't coming on board. And I needed $17,000 for my time. Of course, he did like you guys are looking now. But I didn't stutter and my face didn't flutter. He put everybody on temporary leave for the next event. I said, okay, that's cool. I don't want them here. I don't want them interfering. I don't want them involved in any capacity. We had a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. Now, remember I had produced Black Expo. So Sister knew what she was doing. Friday, we had a meet and greet.
He came up with the 17 grand?
He gave me half of it as a deposit down.
Okay.
And I got the balance the night of the event, the Friday night.
Nice.
What I did was Friday night, we had a meet and greet. They were charging vendors like $20 and $30, and the vendors was baby mama's daddy's friend's cousin, you know, some stupidness like that. I raised the vendor fee to $275, so we got quality vendors. I went out and got sponsors for them. Friday, we had a meet and greet and cocktail reception with, you know, nice shrimp, waiters walking around, you know, hand serving everybody. Saturday morning, we had contests for the kids all day long. Saturday evening, we had Night at the Apollo. because back then that was what was popular. So that title related to people. So we had Night at the Apollo where we gave away $1,000. We packed it out at $10 a ticket. Now I'm talking about an auditorium that held like 3,500 people. Saturday night, after the Night at the Apollo, because we only did that from 7 to 10. At 10, we had a fashion show. So that brought in another $25 a head. People came to the fashion show. Sunday, we got 20 gospel choirs together all across the city. They had to pay $500 each, and we had a gospel competition.
Hustler. A hustler.
So you turned what kind of profit for that?
Probably about $42,000.
All right, and y'all did that for a number of years, or?
I did 2 years with them. My
Okay.
contract was only for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And then they took it over and ran it in the ground
I gave
again.
it back to them. I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Pookie is CEO.
Yeah. You can't run a business like a family reunion. You got to run it like a business.
Right.
And I tell people that all the time. I was talking with a client last week. She has a nonprofit here in Phoenix. And I said, who's on your board of directors? And she said, my mama, my husband, and my sister-in-law, and somebody else. And I said, we can't work together.
Right.
I can't.
I mean, it can happen if they about their business, they some go-getters.
If they are business people, but just
Right.
because you want to start a nonprofit and you put Pookie and your sister-in-law and your husband who don't know nothing about nothing and your mama who's just your mama, that's not business. That's not
Right.
business. You need to put people on your board of directors that bring something to the table besides relationship.
Right.
And people don't understand that. Everybody's running out starting a nonprofit now and making their family board members. That's not business.
Right.
And plus it starts arguments. It's too much confusion.
Right on.
Okay, so tell us about the women's veterans entrepreneurs.
So a couple of my students were women veterans that had, got discharged from the military, and they were doing deals with me. And they let a gentleman in Dallas know about me. And he had a seminar that he hosted at the library downtown for 200 or 300 veteran women. And we videotaped this and put it on YouTube. So people want to check it, it's on YouTube. I spoke, I think it was an hour presentation. I did an hour presentation for women veterans. I think it was about 5 gentlemen in the audience, but it was for all women veterans. It was about 200 to 250 women in the audience. And then from that, I got booked to speak at Texas Women's University for Women's Veterans Association. Nice. That was another group of 200 women.
Got it.
So I see we kind of approaching that 60-minute time. So we're going to do our lightning round. It's going to be a real lightning round this time.
You all said that before.
So here we go.
Ask me again about marriage.
the Black Elizabeth Taylor.
You know this, Smokey. It ain't just for movie stars. It's some real life stuff. But I tell you what, I would do a prenup to die for this time around.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I would write that prenup myself.
Got it. Okay,
lightning round. I take it off. How would you? Let's see. Keyword: hood.
Memories.
Okay. PTA school fundraisers.
You want to know about those?
Yes. And we only got 5 minutes.
Most PTAs, bless their hearts, don't know how to really raise funds for schools. They are a bunch of the mothers of the children at the schools, but they don't have any business acumen about how to raise funds. So I approach PTAs, and for a fee as a consultant, I will go in and put together a fundraiser for the school. I've done about 36 of those.
Nice. Youth.
I miss it.
Okay.
You say you damn near 70.
Yeah, it does. I don't feel like 70, but if I could turn back the hands of time, but all the stuff I've experienced, I probably wouldn't do anything different. I've experienced a lot, and I've had a great life. If I told my kids, I'll tell my kids all the time, if I drop dead tomorrow, Shit, at my funeral, y'all gonna have a hell of an obituary to write. Look at all the stuff I've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've lived a life. I've lived my best life.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm still living.
Yes.
Good
yes.
deal. That's it for me in terms of questions.
Okay.
Automobiles, cars.
High end.
High end. Okay. Got one more. Diamonds.
Girl's best friend. But also a good investment.
You got 6 of them now.
Yeah.
6 of
Yeah.
Like
you know, you don't get a ring back.
6 rings.
You don't get a rings back.
You've doubled my output.
You ever seen any of the Kardashians get a ring back? You don't get a ring back.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I mean, we've been on here just about an hour. It's been a pleasure interviewing Jay Ganes, AKA the Wholesale Diva. And we're going to be doing more of these like panel interview conversations, just trying to share with you guys the different things that we do. I'm a real estate coach, real estate investor here in Indiana. Glen, real estate coach, investor down in Tampa, Florida. And Jay Ganes, AKA the Wholesale Diva, she is in Phoenix and Dallas and work with people nationwide, just like we all do. So if anybody is interested in contacting us about our coaching program, or even if you want to be a guest on these little chats that we're doing, just let us know and we can possibly include you in. We got enough space for at least 97 more people. And if we we can get creative and make that happen as well. So until the next time, when the next time we gonna do one of these?
Today is the 7th?
Yeah.
All right, Tuesday the 7th.
The 14th, next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So same time next Tuesday, we'll be right back at you.
Same time, same place, and we'll come up with a different topic, something to hit you with, smack you upside the head, wake you up, because a lot of y'all out there sleep or in a coma, you walking through life like this.
Right on, right on.
We here to wake you up.
And if you got any questions, comments, we're gonna be posting this up on social media. So if you got any questions or comments, just post them down up under, and one of us answer your questions.
Or if there are any specific topics that you guys want us to talk about on the show, because we're the 3 Musketeers. So
the 3 Musketeers.
Hey, if anything you want us to talk about or elaborate on,
Three amigos.
Not political. Not political.
I thought we were the 3 amigos.
3 amigos.
3 Musketeers, 3 amigos.
Oh man.
The divas and dudes.
Divas and dudes. Or the dudes and the diva.
Dudes and divas. I don't care how you switch it up.
Right on, right on. All right, guys. Until next week, same time, same station. It's been a pleasure.
Been a slice.
Yes.